Welcome, everybody, to Survive in Advance on the Grizzly Truth Sports Network. Survive in Advance is brought to you by MyBookie.ag. To get up to 100% cash back bonus on your first deposit up to $300, make sure you go to MyBookie.ag, put in the promo code TGT100, or go to thegrizzlytruth.com and click on the banner for MyBookie.ag at the top of the page. I am your co-host for Survive in Advance, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I'd like to welcome in my other co-host, a member of the Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame, Steve Risley. How you doing, Steve?
Hey, Mike, it's a great Monday. I get to watch the Dover 400 live on – it's actually going on right now, but I'm DVRing it right now, so I'll get back to it after our wonderful show. So I get to watch NASCAR on Monday, and that's a great way to start the week when you get to watch NASCAR on Monday. I know it doesn't mean anything to you, but it means everything to me. But I got to ask you guys a question. With MyBookie AG, are you and Bobby killing them, or are you breaking their bank? You guys are winning about everything.
Well, of course
Bobby
we are.
Bobby's leading you right into wealth.
I think me and Bobby both are worth like $700 million now. So.
Yeah, is that off of MyBookie AG? I feel bad for those guys. The way you guys are killing it on your show, on Bobby's show.
All right. Since you done messed up the introduction because you said Bobby repeatedly, help me welcome to the show from the Sheridan Report, Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
Hey, Mike, Steve, how you doing? And Steve, you know your guy Chase Elliott's got the lead in that race early on.
Don't tell me I'm DVRing it. Come on, Bobby.
Oh, you're DVRing it?
He just said he was DVRing it, Bobby.
DVRing it.
Damn.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Bobby.
It's early.
It's early in the race, I know. He started on the pole. Don't tell me how many laps into it. Just shut up about that.
Actually, if he tells you how many laps into it, you can just fast forward to that point. You'll be better. All right, let's start off.
I set it down on lap 56. That's where I was on lap 56 when you called and said we're ready to go. So I know at lap 56, Chase had a good lead. He's 2 seconds out. But let's drop NASCAR right now and move on to another form of auto racing, or form of racing. Wasn't auto racing, actually.
All right, yeah, let's get to a race where, you know, the horses are actually athletes instead of the cars. Well, let's go with the Kentucky Derby. Maximum Security won the Kentucky Derby until he didn't. The front runner lurched 2 or 3 paths from his spot just off the rail, affecting some other horses. Was this the right call, Steve?
Well, yes, technically it was, because by their rules of engagement, you know, they have strict rules about not blocking or not. See, in auto racing, it's completely different. Blocking is a huge part of racing with an automobile. I mean, you're totally allowed. And my position has always been, if you're the lead horse, you can go wherever you want to go. I mean, you're in front. You get whatever lane you want. Now, the way I look at it is, you know, in track and field, they have white stripes in a marked lane. That's your lane. You have to stay in your lane. In horse racing and auto racing, those lanes don't exist. And, you know, I think you're supposed to use courtesy, but you know, I'm watching the NASCAR race right now. I'm already seeing blocking going on where the faster car is coming up on a slower car. He just steps out in front of him and backs him off. Now, horse racing is considered a gentleman's sport, and auto racing is a redneck sport. Let's just face it. I know that's what you're going to say. But technically by the rules,
because I don't think it's
sadly,
a sport, so I would never say that. But go ahead.
There you go. Okay. Sadly, technically by the rules of engagement on horse racing, yeah, I think that they did the right thing. The thing that disappoints me is, you know, it's a muddy track, it's a slippery track. Horses are stumbling all over the place trying to get through the mud, and it's a tough call. But in the end, I would have to say it's the right call. It took them 22 minutes to make the decision, which is about half the time.
Which is about how long it took for you to make a decision on whether it was a good call or not here today on the show.
Well, it takes about that 22 minutes, about half the time it takes for the NBA to decide whether a guy stepped out of bounds line or an NFL guy stepped on an out of bounds line or made a catch or his knee went down. So I give him credit for at least making a judgment call quicker. But my opinion, yes, sadly, I hate it because there wasn't a speck of mud on Maximum Security. He led the entire race. It was his race, but rules are rules, you know. So.
All right. Bobby, I know you bet on Maximum Security and had that won, and then it wasn't. Do you think the right call was made?
Yeah, the right call was made, and I did not really notice it that much live, but when I looked at the replays, I saw that there was a delay. They were talking to the jockey. I knew he was coming down. I used to be a time in my life where I went to the races every day. This was back years ago. And that call you see made, maybe not exactly the way it went down, but you see the interference calls all the time. And if that wasn't the Kentucky Derby, it would have taken about 3 minutes, and we'd have gone on to the next race. It was definitely the right call. I felt bad for Vince Gregory. He was on air on our Kentucky Derby show, and that was his top horse, Mike. And he liked it. He liked that horse, and that horse ran a great race. And I felt bad for that jockey. His face was, you could see it. It was all over his face. And the horse ducked out. They were entering the stretch, or going on that final bend of that turn right before they get to the stretch, and he heard the crowd noise and everybody going crazy, and the horse ducked out a little bit. And it just so happens he kind of impeded the other horses outside of him. And
he impeded War of Will.
The horse I bet on that on a $2 ticket would have paid me $250. So I have a problem with this altogether anyway.
Hey, Bobby, let me ask you a question. Do you think he blocked, or do you think he just drifted?
He just drifted. Yeah, and
there was no intent
there. There was no intent, and that horse, 4 horses had a chance to go by him and didn't. That's what makes it kind of sad for the 7. He was the best horse in the race. It's just, that's horse racing, and that's not even close to the worst I've ever had in my life. Bad beat. They're all the time, and it's tough. And horse racing is a tough racket, but that's a beautiful race. It is everything they say it is. I wish I could go one day. And have either one of you gentlemen been there?
Been where?
At the Kentucky Derby?
No, I've only been to Turfway Park to see the Jim Beam Stakes a few times, and I went to Turfway Park a lot when I was younger.
That was Pete Rose's second home, Turfway Park.
Yeah, but I was younger, so my dad kept me away from scumbags.
I did notice watching the replay that War of Will did get into the haunches of Maximum Security. I mean, you could clearly see that the front hooves of War of Will were in the haunches, and they were tangled up.
Well, yeah, so, you got to look at the feet.
That's what
we're real lucky something tragic didn't happen.
Didn't happen. We are lucky.
Yeah.
The War of Will didn't go down and take half the field with him. Yeah, we're very lucky.
And that's why you can't have it like NASCAR, because basically, if you get a collision with some horses there, especially in that big a field, you could have had jockeys and horses die.
Right, exactly. No, I agree with the call. I mean, I feel horrible, but, first time in 145 years, calls like that's been made, and I'm sure the Derby feels horrible. And now the owner's going to appeal the call, but they're not going to reverse the appeal. I mean, too much money's been passed out, and it's the right call. Under their rules of engagement, it's the right call, in my opinion. Mike,
it has to
what's
be.
your opinion?
As I said, it had to be. I mean, if you look at what's happened at Santa Anita just over the last few months, I mean, the safety of the horses and the jockeys has to come first. And that's why you can't allow this stuff to happen. And I know it wasn't on purpose, but also it's easy to say that a horse is the better horse. But when a horse is a horse, of course, I mean, some horses talk like Mr. Ed. But when you look at this, I mean, War of Will looked like he was pulling up on Maximum Security. And when he gets bumped, he kind of has to pull up. So I would like to know how this race goes if he stays where he's at. I think Maximum Security still wins, but I think things could have been a lot different. And the only thing I do know is this. I don't think Country House would have won if War of Will and the other horses would not have been impeded at all, because he was on the outside. He wasn't impeded by anything. He didn't have to pull up. But it's sports.
Mike, that's the reason why they have to disqualify, because, number one, your horse, War of Will, his final placing was like 6th. He would have been 2nd or 3rd. So his final placing, or maybe 1st. So his final placing was directly hindered. So you have to put the horse that hinders behind that horse that got hindered. So, the bottom line is you had to move him down. That's the reason, because he affected the outcome of the race.
Yeah, I think it's a disappointing situation. We're very lucky that tragedy didn't happen. I mean, because War of Will just flew right into the butt of Maximum Security. I mean, he came right into him. I mean, that horse was on the move. And
well, here's
like
the good
said,
thing, Mike. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I was going to say here's the good thing. If these horses choose to, they can come back and redo this all over again at Pimlico.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you can't redo the Kentucky Derby, though.
Derby, no. Yeah.
Well,
and
true.
Maximum Security's not going to run at Preakness. I think they're
He's
done.
not, have they already said?
Yeah, Gary West came out and said he's not going to run him at Preakness. So
okay.
He's the owner of Maximum Security. So he's definitely scratched from the Preakness already.
Why is he not running him at the Preakness?
I don't know. I didn't. They just said that the owner came out and said he's scratching him, not going to run him.
You know that your horse, Mike, War of Will, that horse was, I'll tell you what, I don't know if he was going to win, but all down the backstretch, I had my eye on that horse. He was on the inside, and that horse wanted to go. And the jockey was holding him because he wanted to make the move on the final turn like he did.
Yeah.
That horse is interesting.
Actually, I had $10 to win $250 on that. Damn it. But go ahead, Steve.
Yeah.
What's the longest race of the three?
Belmont.
Is it
the Preakness, from what I remember, was the shortest. Correct, Bobby?
The shortest, right?
Yeah.
Right, the mile and 3/16.
Well, you got to watch War of Will. War of Will, the way he was running, if he stays like that, should be a favorite at the Belmont.
Yeah, but I'll never get 25 to 1 odds again. So
no, you won't. All right, so we all agree it's the right call. It's a sad call. It's disappointing for everybody involved. I mean, no horse wants to win it by being, on a disqualification.
I don't think the horse knows.
Well, no, the owner, yeah.
And let's face it, the biggest issue here for me is women wearing those hats. It annoys the hell out of me, Steve. Am I wrong here?
No, you're right. I don't mind just a big brimmed hat.
No, I do. They're all
these guys wear these stupid hats, these stupid derby bonnets, and the guys wear the most audaciously stupid suits. It's just Well, give me the Indy 500 where you can wear a tank top, a white beater shirt, a pair of cut-off blue jeans, and some New Balance tennis shoes. And go
New Balance tennis shoes. So New Balance, if you're out there, you could be a sponsor here.
Yeah, Mike. Yeah, Bobby.
It's not 83 anymore. We're in 2019.
Yeah. Do they still run the Indianapolis 500?
Yeah, they run it. The practice starts this week.
All right. Well, the closest I could get for a wife beater shirt here is an NBA jersey, Steve. So now we're going to talk about the NBA, and we're going to start off. We're going to start off in the East with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Boston Celtics. Of course, the Celtics dominated Game 1 in Milwaukee. The Bucks have come back, won the next 2 games, including Game 3 in Boston. And Giannis, whatever his last name is, got to the foul line too much, Kyrie Irving said, and it slowed down the game. Do you agree with Irving, Bobby?
Well, yeah. I mean, here's what's interesting about this game coming up tonight and about the first 3 games. Boston's got to come up with some reason and something to hang their hat on going into this game because, Mike, they had a couple-point lead about, I don't know, start of the third or somewhere in the third, and the next thing you know, they're down by 17. And it was not competitive from there on out. And this was, at Boston, Game 3, series tied 1-1 type deal. And, you got to come up with something. And I think this series is over. I think Milwaukee is dominating them at this point. I agree. But what are you going to do? The guy's the top 3 player in the league. He can do everything. And so tonight he doesn't get to the line, but he hits threes. Or maybe he doesn't even score much, but he gets every rebound. And, the bottom line is he's the MVP probably of the league this year, or he should be. And Milwaukee's going to take this series.
All right, Steve, is Boston done here?
Look, watching this game, the way the Bucks are playing as a team, I'd say it's going to be very tough. Although I got to look at Boston, and they put all 5 of their starters in solid double figures. I mean, Morris's least amount was 16 points. And all 5 players are above that on the starters. The problem with the Celtics is they've got no bench. They only scored 16 points off the bench compared to 42 bench points from Milwaukee. So the depth of Milwaukee is what's going to be the death of Boston. They just don't have the horses in the depth chart that the Bucks have. You know, the Bucks put up 42 points off the bench. They put 4 players in double figures. They've got Giannis just playing great ball. They're playing as a team. They're playing fearless basketball, and yeah, I kind of agree with Bobby that if this thing's going to come to an end, probably the next 2 games. I don't know that the Celtics can win tonight. The Bucks are just a very solid basketball team, led by a great player with a deep bench. So I think this is going to end pretty quickly here for the Celtics.
Yeah, I think this is done by Wednesday night. I think the Bucks are the best team in the NBA. I think they're going to win it all. Warriors, Rockets, doesn't matter. I think the Bucks are the best team. The Celtics are a team that, I mean, they've played better in the playoffs. Gordon Hayward is not consistent yet, which I think hurts them, and there's not enough bench production there. If we move to the other series in the East, we've got the Sixers and Raptors, which at the start of the series, the Raptors came in and looked like the hot team, looked like they'd win the series, and then the Sixers turned it around, won a couple games in a row against them. Now it's 2 games all, and my big problem here is this. The Sixers, I think, may have the better team, but the way this schedule sets up, and we're going to talk about this with the Rockets and the Warriors here in a little bit also, and when I look at it, the one-day rest with Joel Embiid is a major problem, I think, here, Bobby, because I think if he was getting 2 or 3 days rest, I think the Sixers would win this series. But I think with the one-day rest, and I think it's that way, let me look at it, I think most of the rest of this series, they get 2 days before Game 6, because this is Monday.
No, it's
they
play
play on
one-day rest play.
No, because
they play tomorrow?
Oh, yeah, that's tomorrow. Yes, it's 1 game rest
Sunday,
and play.
Tuesday, Thursday.
So actually, I would
Sunday,
almost,
Tuesday, Thursday.
I would almost, you know, and Lucas Weiss is on here saying, so the scheduling is rigged against the Sixers, right, Mike? No, Lucas, shut the hell up. All right, this is my point. It's rigged for the Warriors to get in up to this point because they only play with 5, and it's not rigged against the Sixers. What I am saying, if you pay attention, Lucas, in Canada, is the fact that with Joel Embiid hurt, only 1 day rest hurts the Sixers. I never said anything was fixed. I'm just saying that the way things have played out, I think this hurts the Sixers. Bobby?
It sure does, Mike. It hurts the Sixers, and it's going to play out with 1 day rest all the way until they get to Game 7. There will be 2 days rest before Game 7. I just looked at that. Yeah, Embiid is the big deal here. When he goes off for 28, 30, and 16 boards and 5 blocks and plays 40 minutes, the Sixers have a big shot in any game they play. And when he's held down a little bit, you know, not as much. But if you look at the plus-minus from that last game, he still had a huge impact on the game. Even though he was, I mean, I'm looking it up right now. Even though he was 11 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, his plus-minus was plus 17. There was only one other player. Well, Redick had a plus 7 and Butler a plus 1. Tobias Harris minus 8, Ben Simmons minus 16. So he has to be on the floor. He was on the floor 35 minutes. He only had 7 field goal attempts. So give Toronto a lot of credit for changing their defensive plan there.
How about this, Bobby?
You know,
we just talked about 2 days rest before Game 7. If I'm the Sixers, would I be crazy if I sat Embiid in Game 5 and brought him back at Game 6 and had 2 days rest for Game 7?
Yeah, probably sit him. Yeah, but you know, I maybe take his minutes. Just I don't know, Mike. Tough call. That's not crazy, you know, but It's 2-2, and the winner of Game 5 is 90% probably to win the series. So to me, Game 5 is going to be everything, and that's Tuesday night, right?
Yep.
At Toronto.
And that is Tuesday night in Toronto. Steve, what do you think here? I mean, number one, the question is this. Should the Raptors, a team in Toronto, even exist in the National Basketball Association?
Yeah, I have no problem with that.
I don't think they should. I think it just should be for Americans.
Right.
I think Canadians should have to play in their own league.
I don't care about that. I mean, Toronto, Toronto's
and the uniforms that have
American
North
city
on them
anyway.
are
I don't have a
absolutely
problem with that.
stupid. So
I don't care. I'm not going to knock Canada right now. It's okay. But here's my opinion: the Sixers basically don't look very organized. If Embiid's hurt, I know his plus minus is plus 17, but put up 11 points. And what the problem here is, their bench has to compensate for his injury and his lack of point production. Their bench only comes up with 11 points. So, you're expecting 25 to 26 points out of Embiid. You only get 11, and then you're counting on your bench to give you another 20, 25 points as a group, and they're only giving you 11. So basically, you're taking your entire bench and Joe Embiid to get a healthy Joe Embiid. And I think that's part of what's killing Philadelphia. Their depth is just not good with Embiid down. Is there a Kardashian in the stadium? I know Ben Simmons dates one of them. See, that's bad. That's like a black cat. Having a Kardashian at your game is like a black cat. So that may be it too. Who knows? I don't know if she's there or not. But the Sixers look disoriented to me, a little not functioning as a high-performing team. When I go up to Toronto and I see them putting 4 players in double figures and the 5th player with 9, now they only got 12 points off the bench, but they get 39 points out of Leonard. And I'll tell you what, I watched that game yesterday. Those weren't forced points. I mean, Leonard's not forcing shots. He's taking what the Sixers are giving him. He's just that good of a player.
No, but in the end, though, with the Raptors, Steve, I think the thing that gets them is, outside of him, there's just a bunch of good players, and they're not real deep.
Yeah, but Mike, is this not a case where Leonard is elevating the play of everybody else, kind of like Magic did with the Lakers? Not to the degree that Magic did, obviously. I'm not comparing Leonard to Magic. Please don't get on me on that. But I'm just saying, is he kind of having that effect? Because, Gasol comes around with 16 points, Lowry 14, Green 11 points. You get 12 points out of Ibaka.
I thought you were going to say Ichabod Crane.
I was just about to. Is Leonard just elevating everybody's play? Leonard comes up with 14 rebounds, 39 points.
Yeah, but Leonard is always going to do that. And the problem with the Raptors has been they don't consistently get Gasol, Lowry, Green, Van Fleet. These guys don't consistently play well. When they play well all together, they're as good as anybody in the NBA. But the question is, can they do this 4 out of 7 games? I think against a banged-up Philadelphia team, I think they can. But I think in the end,
Milwaukee.
I think in the end, Philly wins this in Game 7. I think they get 2 days rest for Embiid, and I don't think underneath that they have anybody that can guard Embiid. So Toronto better win Game 5. I think they will win Game 5, and then I think the Sixers will win the last 2 to win the series.
We're at Game 5. Game 5 is at Toronto, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Game 5 is tomorrow at Toronto, and that's a good call, Mike. I didn't want to have to come back to Toronto to win Game 7. I didn't want to lose Game 4, and that's what it comes down to. Philly's going to probably have to do that now. Go there and win Game 7. Tobias Harris was 7 for 23, 2 of 13 from 3, and he's a guy that was playing extremely well the first 3 games. So that's where the game got lost. Right there.
Yeah, well, my perception just is that they have nothing for Kwame Leonard. He's
Kwame?
They don't.
Kwame Leonard.
Leonard, whatever. Kwame. I don't know. Leonard. Let me just say K. Leonard. They don't have anything for him, and he's pouring in points. But the thing, like I said, I got to repeat myself, but they're not forced points. And I mean, he's not taking over the game and ignoring his teammates. So 4 of his 5 teammates scored double figures, and the 5th one had 9 points. So he's sharing the ball. How many assists did he have? 5 assists. which was second highest on the team. So he's passing the ball. So I don't know. I mean, if Leonard keeps playing like he does, I'm going to go against you guys and say Toronto's going to win this thing.
No, it's just because you're trying to make Lucas love you. But
I just see disorientation in the Sixers. And I don't see a bench support to compensate for an injured.
I think I see this. I see
see
disorientation with both teams because I don't think either team is very well coached.
No.
I mean, they would have been better off keeping Dwayne Casey in Toronto, and if they would have, I think I would have picked them in the series because I think they'd be up 3-1 right now. Let's go out west, where we had a 4 overtime thriller on Friday night. Less than 48 hours later, the Nuggets come back and win Game 4, and to come back mentally and physically and win what was pretty much a must-win game on the road was, to me, about as impressive as it gets. Jamal Murray comes up with 34 points. Jokic gets a triple-double. And I think the key to this game, in the end, was Will Barton, who came up with 2 3-pointers at the end of that game. I think this is a completely dead-even series. I think we're going to see a Game 7 in this. Bobby?
I hope. This is just really disappointing for me. I lost both those games, Game 3 and Game 4. Really shaking my head there at Denver's level of play. Jamal Murray outplayed Lillard. I would have never guessed that. He outplayed him in Game 4. And Jokic is basically controlling the series at the post there. Steve, if you've been watching that series, they dump him the ball, and he's a pass-first big guy.
Oh, he's a hell of a basketball player. You know who he reminds me of? You know who he reminds me of?
The big guy from Denver?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who he reminds me of, Bobby?
Holy cow.
He reminds me of Arvydas Sabonis before Sabonis had defeat and knee issues.
Yeah, great comparison there. And he's just a great player. And, here's the thing. I mean, Portland plays extremely hard. They play well. Lillard got outplayed. He was 9 for 22. He was a -8, his plus-minus. They made up the points from the bench. Curry, Hood, Zach Collins all played big for them. It's just a disappointing loss for Portland. And I don't know at this point now if they're going to win this series, Mike.
I think this series is still a complete toss-up. But I can tell you this. Denver has surprised me. I didn't think they were this good of a team. But with Murray playing the way he is, I mean, Jokic, no matter who they play, are going to give somebody a matchup nightmare in the middle. So I think that I'm not going to write the Blazers off here. But this Nuggets team is a dangerous team just because of that one big dude. There's not too many teams that can match up with him. I mean, I don't think Golden State or Houston, either one, can match up with him.
No, and they're getting a lot of confidence. You can see that they're gaining confidence. Paul Millsap is playing well. Did you hear the point that they said about Paul Millsap? He's 34 years old, getting older, in the NBA. I think he's probably played 12 years or something, or 14 years. And they came off of that 4 OT game with only 1 day rest, right? And they said, hey, his comment was, I'd go another 4. I'll play another 50 minutes if they need me to. Well, he played 41 minutes. He scored 21 points, 10 rebounds, shot 6 of 10. I mean, Steve, you're Gary Harris, played 36 minutes, scores 14 points, 5 rebounds.
Hey, you could tell Risley coached him because he didn't have any assists and he's a guard. Because Risley always told us, he told everybody, shoot the ball. So Gary Harris is still living by that.
That's true. Good job, Steve.
Hey, there you go.
So, Steve, what do you think, Portland or Denver?
Yeah, first off, Jokic, this is like his second triple-double in the series, isn't it?
It's 4th for the
12
playoffs.
boards, 11. He's had how many? 4 in the full playoffs?
He's had 4 in the playoffs.
11 assists for the big guy. I mean, talking about a passer, he still puts up 21 points. If I read it right, Denver is the youngest team left in the tournament, correct?
Probably.
Yeah, I think they are. And, this is a team that they play with such heart. They play almost like a college basketball team. I mean, their guards, Harris is a bench on defense. I mean, you don't want to be guarded by him. I mean, he plays college defense. And Murray does too. You talk about Murray. Here's a guy who, at the end of the game, steps up and swishes 11 free throws. When they're fouling and they're holding on to a 2-point or 4-point lead, keeping them in a double possession, he doesn't flinch at all. This team is so young; they haven't been battle scarred yet to fear anything, in my opinion. This is, I think, the best series going in the NBA right now. This is what you wish the NBA would play like all season long. The NBA, if they could ever muster that up, I don't think they can because they'd run their players into the ground. But if they could play basketball like this, the NBA would be the best sports league there is. If they could maintain this kind of level of play. Blazers, you can't knock the Blazers. I mean, they're playing great basketball. I just think that there's a little bit more heart. I'm amazed that Denver came back and won. I thought after they lost that 4 overtime game, which I watched that whole game, and then to come back and win, that shows heart, and that scares me more than anything. And Denver just playing this good team. This thing's going to go to the wire. Unlike you guys, I can't pick a winner in this. Portland's got the home court advantage from here on out, don't they?
No. Nuggets just got it back.
Oh, Nuggets just got it back. So now they got two in Denver and 1 in Portland. Well, then, just for that reason alone, I'd give the edge to Denver only because.
I'll tell you though, from what I've seen so far, I don't think it matters who the home team is here.
I think you're right, Mike.
I think both of these teams fight so hard, they play so hard.
Right.
And the thing is, I mean, whichever one of them wins may get swept in 4 games by Houston or Golden State. But there'll be 4 close games. They're not going to go down easily. Yeah. All right, let's go to Houston and Golden State, where the Rockets get a 126-120 win to stay in the series. They're now down 2-1. Game 4 will be tonight. And the thing that stands out to me here is the fact that they had 3 days off in between the last 2 games. Durant, Iguodala, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry all played 41 minutes or more in this game. And when you look at that, there's not much bench here. You got Kevin Looney was the biggest contributor off the bench. He played 13 minutes and scored 2 points. This is a team that really only plays with 6 or 7 guys at most. And from here on out, Bobby, there's only 1 day off between each one of these games. I think if the Rockets win tonight, the Rockets win this series.
Mike, I'm with you. And I even put a little tweet out there the other day that the Rockets could win 4 in a row. They really could, because Golden State's starting 5, they're talking about Thompson and Curry have maybe underperformed. Whatever. And those guys are still making big shots and playing great. But with Durant playing the way he is and Iguodala playing the way he is from the starting lineup, and those, they're playing great, and it's tooth and nail to be up 2-1. So now they only get 1 day off the rest of the series. The Rockets, if they can find a way to win tonight and make that thing 2-2, they can win at Golden State. They've won, like I said, they've won there 3 times in that building within the last calendar year, including in the playoffs. So, hey, stranger things have happened. I think the Rockets are still going to win this series, Mike, and I love them tonight. I like them better tonight than I did in Game 3.
Well, Steve, what do you think? Is Bobby crazy
I think,
or not?
No, I think this one's another one that's kind of too close to call. I think Houston probably will win tonight. I think the Houston's back to the wall. They have to win tonight, and they're good enough to beat Golden State. And you're right, Golden State's relying on 5 or 6 guys, and they're going to get tired one way or another. They're playing a lot of minutes. I mean, Durant played 50 minutes. Green and Curry 45 minutes each. Thompson 46. Iguodala 41. I mean,
and one key, Steve, here is, and people don't think about it, is against the Clippers, they had to do the same thing. That wasn't an easy series. They lost 2 games, so they had to play 6 games there. And the other thing is, this is a team that over the last 5 years has had to play more than 100 games every year to get to the NBA Finals.
Right.
That's right. And this is a team that just lost a game in which Kevin Durant scored 46 points and Draymond Green had a triple-double. I mean, Iguodala played 40 minutes, was 3 of 4 from 3, 16 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Klay Thompson plays 45 minutes. Curry plays 44, and they got beat. now 1 day off the rest of the series. And all that we've just talked about, Golden State wins that game 99 out of 100 times with those kind of numbers and that type of performance, and they got beat. So,
yeah,
hey.
That's a good call, Bobby.
And the other thing is this. It's not like Chris Paul had a huge night in this last game. I mean, he played 44 minutes. He scored 14 points, 7 assists. Harden had 41. Clint Capella had 13. Eric Gordon was the big addition with the 30, I think, there. But I think I don't think we've seen the best of the Rockets yet either.
I don't know. In watching Chris Paul, is he capable of more than 14 points? I kind of thought he was kind of lethargic in the game and really not engaging as much as I would have thought he would have. I don't know if that's because Gordon was stepping up so much and Harden was, but I was kind of like, man, Paul, boy, are you ready to retire? It was just my observation. I mean, I could be dead wrong.
Yeah.
Because I'm just now starting to watch the NBA in full place. But I didn't feel Paul was really engaged into the game to where I thought his talent level was. So I don't know if he's capable of getting more.
Yeah, the thing about Paul is he's oh man, the guy's so focused right now.
He's a great player.
Playing pretty darn good basketball, and he's not shooting the 3-point shot as well as he's capable, and he's passed up a few looks for Gordon. But Gordon, just shot 7 of 14, and he is the X factor, Mike. This is the X factor of the whole series, and what a big win that was the other day. And tonight's going to be a great game. And the NBA ratings are just through the roof on this series. And this is the series that everyone's enjoying watching more than in any of the others. And that's the Portland series we talked about.
What time is that game on tonight?
6. Let me double check that, Mike.
I'm talking real time, not Pacific time.
Yeah, real time. It's going to be at 9:40.
All right, that's good
because
then
Mike?
The Columbus
real time to us is 6:40.
The Columbus Blue Jackets will hopefully be over by then because I watch the NHL more than the NBA now because the NHL is awesome. They play rock music when they have downtime. I don't have to listen to rap music.
I think this series right here, this is definitely the marquee series of all games. I think the Portland-Denver series is a better series in terms of just watching guys gut it out.
So far it is. But, I mean, this is a series where all the games have went down to the wire, too. So they had an overtime game the last game. So if they could throw up 3 or 4 overtimes in Game 4, then they can be equal.
Right. I would put Houston in the driver's seat tonight, but you still got to go back and play 2 games at Golden State, and you got to factor in the fact.
No problem.
That you got to factor in the fact that this team has won 3 NBA championships in the last 4 years. They know how to get it done, and they've got a fan base. It's doable, no doubt. It's going to be fun to watch. I think this series is wide open right now.
All right.
I don't like the fact that the Warriors are relying on 5 players playing so many minutes. I think that's going to be a detriment to them, but it may negate out their home court advantage of 2 games at Golden State.
Well, and what that is,
it's fun to watch.
This is the last stand. The Golden State's going to get broke up to some degree. I'm not saying dismantled, but
and that may mean something.
Yeah, it may mean something to them. I think it means something to them. But I'm not quite so. Durant, what he's doing is incredible, and I definitely think it's his last go around. I mean, he's got, like Mike said, he's going to probably
he's going to Clippers with Leonard.
He's going to New York.
Who knows? That could happen. But I do want to bring this out. I think we'd be a little bit remiss if we don't talk about at least a minute about this. Now, I'm not saying conspiracy theory, and I'm not saying fix or nothing, but I want to bring up a point. 2 of the 3 games in this series have ended with teams deciding not to foul with only 4-point margins and still 20 seconds left. I think it's the way that last game ended, Mike. You and I talked about this off the air. Steve, did you see this? Curry went in, missed the layup, he did like a half dunk thing and got caught at the rim and missed the layup. And that would have brought it down to 3. It was a 5-point margin, would have brought it down to 3, and he missed it. Golden State got the rebound. There was 18 seconds left. Houston got the rebound. Golden State decided not to foul. You never used to see that, Mike.
No.
So why are we seeing that now 2-3 times in the playoffs? That's how the San Antonio-Denver series ended.
Yeah,
Same
I know.
way.
It makes no sense to me.
Foul. What is going on with these guys?
What was the point spread?
There you go. But I'm not trying to get our discussion on that. But, yeah, the point spread was friggin' 4.
Yeah,
so
and it was at 5. And if they foul and they miss a free throw with 18 seconds left, you get in and score, you got a shot still. Hell, you can steal the ball.
I don't even get what the hell's going on, Mike.
I don't know. You know what? It's the same thing I ask when I watch a Major League Baseball game and see everybody shifted into right field with a runner on third base and, 2 outs or 1 out, and the dude that's batting is left-handed, and he won't even attempt to bunt the ball down the left field or down the third base line, which if he does, will be a run and tie the game. So I don't understand what goes on in a lot of these sports right now, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Sounds to me like coaches and managers trying to outsmart themselves.
No, it does it to me because it's really easy to just bunt the ball down to third baseline.
Yeah.
Unless
maybe
you
the
just
guy can't
suck.
bunt.
Well, if he can't bunt and he's making $10 million a year, maybe somebody should teach him.
Or maybe they put a pinch hitter in that can bunt.
Yeah, that would work
too. The game has changed so much, Mike. These guys don't bunt or hit and run in the minor leagues. And all they do is.
Well, you know what? We watched a bunch of games this weekend, Bobby, where it would be like the 10th inning and it's a tie game and somebody's on first base, and nobody even thinks about bunting a guy to second to put him in scoring position, or 1 out or less and you got a runner on second and it's a tie game. No bunt to get him to third base. I mean, it makes no sense.
Right, and if you look and see, how the Dodgers got beat yesterday, the Padres utilized the bunt.
Yeah.
2 bunts in a row, loaded the bases up. Jansen struck the next 2 guys, or got the next 2 guys out, and then Padres hit the walk-off. That set up that whole rally just by bunting the ball. You're right. Yeah. I mean, we got to get this back in the game, and I don't know, probably lost forever.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up.
The analytics.
We're going to wrap it up because it's almost 1:30. And we got the Sheridan Report at 2, and I've got a doctor's appointment at 3. So if anybody wants to come down and get my autograph, I'll be at Principled Chiropractic in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Can I just send a self-addressed stamped envelope and get it that way? You remember the old days, Mike, where you send me a self-addressed stamped envelope for, remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, man.
I never asked for any autographs, but I've
You know what's surprising to guys? Surprisingly, I still get those.
He got one because it was sent to me one time.
No, well, I get several of them because there's that Bank One collector's card series.
Yeah, they got the entire 81 team on a collector card series. So
they've got all 4. They got all Hoosiers. I mean, it's not just the 81.
You know what this means, though? Does Chuck Franz have a card?
I'm sure he does. Yeah,
I've
got it right here. I can tell you,
Steve, I'm glad you brought this up because I wanted to ask you about this. On Twitter the other day, one of those Indiana basketball, handles had a ball, 81 championship ball, signed by the whole team, and it was he was advertising that as his prized possession of his IU basketball, memorabilia, and it shows all the players. Isaiah. Well, they showed the part where Isaiah and Bob Knight signed, and I wanted to ask you, all the players, you can see Isaiah's autograph, you can see Ray Tolbert's. I looked on there, I didn't see yours. Yours must have been on the other side, but I saw Tolbert, I saw a couple others, and then you got Bob Knight. He signs where Thomas is, but he signs the other way. He flips the ball around and signs Bob Knight the other way. So the 2 signatures on that ball were completely opposite directions. Was that it was on the sweet spot of the ball, Was that Bob Knight and Isaiah right there? I mean, I giggled at that to myself,
Hey, you know what? The ball, I saw that ball. It's not a legit autograph or legit ball because Steve Risley has signed Steve Ridley.
I'm staring at 2. When I went to the reunion, I got 2 balls signed by the 81 team. I've got legitimate signatures of all the players.
Are you talking about basketballs?
Yeah. Except for
I made a joke, but go ahead.
Who has passed away. Michael Lefebvre has passed away, and Jimmy Thomas could not make the event. He lives in Florida. And you know what? Chuck France does not have a card.
How
about that?
Well, that makes it more legit that you have a card then.
I have a card, yeah. I'm in there with Walt Bellamy and Archie Dees and Kent Benson and Scotty May, and I'm rare air.
So that would be one of those things where a Hoosier fan will go on like the Hoosier Nation site and then post a picture of those 5 cards and says, which one of these guys doesn't belong?
I actually had a friend, and I know we got to wrap it up. I'll just end with this. I had a friend who actually went on eBay and bought my. I literally every month I get a letter from somebody with a return stamped envelope on it. So would you please sign this card and send it back? A lot of times it's 2 or 3 cards, and occasionally if you go to eBay, they'll pop up on eBay. I had a friend who actually spent $20 and bought my card signed by me on eBay.
Okay. Now, I can verify this does happen because we had a listener on the Indiana basketball show sent me a card to have Steve sign, which is always a huge mistake because I think, Steve, it took me about 4 months before I finally sent that card to you. I don't like to go to the post office. It's a pain in the ass.
Signed it and put it right back in the mail the next day.
I know, but I have a tendency to put things off sometimes. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want to remind you, in about a half hour, the Sheridan Report, we'll pick NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, and our noses.
Bobby?
What?
Thanks for coming on, buddy. Thanks for coming on and working with us today. Love your company.
Aw.
Oh, I appreciate it, Steve.
That's so sweet. You guys should get a freaking room. You could get a room at that lodge. What's the name of that lodge?
Go to your chiropractor, Mike. Get your back fixed.
Hey, the Mount Baldy Lodge. Hey, Steve, if you want to take your wife to the Mount Baldy Lodge, you let me know. I'll get you a cabin
I'd rather go up there with you.
Ooh.
Oh, we can go up there and do the when you're feeling good, we can go up there and do the walking, the trail up there.
Yeah, can we do some ski shooting or something?
I don't think we can do skeet shooting, but there's ponds up there where you can fish.
We have a pool and a pond. Pond would be good for me.
Yeah, we'll go up there and fishing. But hey, if
I don't
you want to go
fish.
up there and take your wife, Mike, Steve, you let me know. I'll get you a cabin up there. They got great restaurant, really good food, and it's a great place.
I will.
Mount Baldy Lodge.
I went fishing one time. I caught a fish.
Lucas Weiss just said that you guys are sounding gay, especially Steve now.
I know.
So
I'm trying to. Tell Lucas we're trying to.
Okay.
I went fishing one
We're
time.
trying to be
I'll
my
wrap it up
diverse.
on I went fishing one time. I caught a fish. And I just banged it on the side of the boat till it fell off the hook. I wasn't going to stick my finger in that fish's mouth.
God. That's how he was as a teenager, too.
Hey,
all right. So,
I hope Bob Knight's not listening. If Bob Knight was listening,
I guarantee you Bob Knight already knows that Steve is gay.
Risley. He
probably
called you.
He knows I'm not a hunter.
Risley.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise, the guy. Oh man, he'd be all.
Camping to me is staying in a hotel room that does not have ESPN2. That's camping.
Well, Mount Baldy, a lodge. I don't think you can get ESPN2 up there either.
Ooh.
They got a cable service up there, and
I tell you what. Early in last September, when I was in the hospital with my foot and stuff, I actually switched hospitals because the hospital I was staying at did not have ESPN on their hospital system. They only had Fox Sports. And I'm like, no, I'm out of here. I literally got up and left and went to a different hospital.
Oh, Steve. It's on your phone. You can get it on your phone.
Steve can't.
I don't want to watch it. Let's get Mike.
They don't. You can't get it on a flip phone. But all right, guys, we're going to wrap the show up because this love fest between Bobby and Steve has gone too far, and I feel a little uncomfortable and left out. All right, guys, remember you can hear all of our shows on iHeartRadio, Spotify, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, and wherever you can find sports podcasts. You'll find the Grueling Truth. So for Bobby Sheridan, Steve Risley, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to the Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.